Hey, what's up guys? This is TBone here. So, not a typical day when I would be doing a stream, but I decided to go for it this time just because I finally, you know, decided to try and go for the deck again. Because I do like this new mechanic. I do like the fact that it's new and it's something that I wanted to try out. And I couldn't get it, so I managed to pull it on tier 5, so I was at least lucky enough that I didn't have to go too deep into it to get it. So, in any case, have the deck now, and what I thought I would do is typically on the opening day is when I actually would play around with the cards and sort of experiment and see what's a good one-turn deck, what's a good two-turn deck, and how do we sort of build up to the higher level. So I figured I would kind of do that live. While I do this, I thought I might stream this information so we can talk about this and share this with you as well at the same time. So yeah, so that's gonna be my goal for today. We're just gonna play a little bit, check out the new deck, see how it works out, see what cards go with it, and also see what other decks could be used, because I was sort of doing that a little beforehand. So welcoming to the stream here, we got BBX and Ellie Little, Chiman On Li Shang, John Wilson, and Rock Deed. Welcome to the stream. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be going in, we're going to take a look at the cards. So I managed to pull in tier 5, so I didn't have to go to the guaranteed tier 6. I'm pretty happy about that. So I could at least save the gems and then use it for the next event. So anyways, this is the deck that I got, and I did get yet another rare relic. I didn't get the other main relics. I don't have a 3-star ultimate relic, but this is actually pretty good. And so, using the rare relic, I was actually kind of trying to compare the two. There's not a whole lot of difference, except you get a little bit of base attack and you have a little bit of base health, and also you gain 6 intensity rather than 5. That's really the main difference between the two. So if you're looking at the difference, that's it took me a while to really catch the difference, and that's what it is. So let's see. Joseph Scott, yeah, it's not my typical time. It is currently 10:15, 10:17 p.m. for me. So it's I'll usually be playing and not streaming this time, but figure people who are up or are available will be able to check it out. So we're going to be playing this. We're going to be checking out this deck. I also have been, I was also building like some other decks, right? So I did get the Valiant Guardian from the pull, from the trophy collection. So I was able to get my ultimate form without having to use my Proving Grounds coins. So that's a good thing. And so I sort of built another deck using this, and this is also one I could use. I'll just kind of show you what I've been doing. But what I really want to do is I want to sort of take this opportunity and sort of build out a deck and sort of build up a rhythm to sort of understand how this works. So we're going to start with this full deck, and then we're going to make improvements on it. We're going to talk about what is the best way to do this and sort of what is the best makeup. Kind of like... I'm also experimenting and learning. I just got this. Like, this is just brand new for me, and so I kind of wanted to see. And of course, being lower level, like my bosses are still low level, that I have to sort of go through and get my overkill bosses and ultra kill bosses to a high level to really take advantage of it. But we should be able to do that quickly enough. And so we got Isaac here. Welcome from Guam. Guam. Thank you for joining me here. And we got James and Lena, Reaper, Noelia, Mark Wilson. Malefic, you've been waiting for this. Yeah, hopefully this will be useful for you. Me, myself, and 1100. What do we do with just support main card and not much else? So if you have just the support event, we will take a look at that as well, because that's what I had before as well. And we will talk about that. So you got 2 different MCs this season. It's good. And I did indeed get the deck. it was, I had to go up to tier 5. So it's not exactly a, what I would have wanted to do, but it was, I find that each season there comes one deck that is like, really new in terms of mechanic, and I feel like it's okay for me to invest in it, if nothing else, since if nothing else, I enjoy using it, and also get a chance to showing it would be good. All right, so this is not a great turn 1 deck. You can see, like, with everything, right? This is with the killer bonus and everything. I still don't get as much as I would with this deck. Okay, so you can pay attention there. It's about couple hundred million, and I'm going to use one that doesn't have any of the event deck. Okay, and so this is what I started with. I started with a deck that had the Protectors of the Realm, which gives it a 400% damage boost to the other commander cards. And so what I do is I just kind of threw all of the ultimate forms I've sort of grabbed, collected over the months. And I just kind of put it in there. And then for my 5th card, I put in the Valiant Vanguard because it has a 13 times commander boost. And so you can see how much of a difference it makes. And it really comes down to the fact that the relics now, the new relics, don't create any power gems. And this deck on its own doesn't actually passively create gems unless you have turn delay. And so you can't really, you can't do anything. Like you either die or you have to activate. There's no passive gem spawn with this deck. And so you won't be able to trigger the actual gem spawns on turn 1. And so you're going to hit a point. There's going to be a threshold where the boss health is going to be high enough that you're not going to be able to get the full 200% overkill with a single hit. Like, in fact, what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna just kill it, and you're not gonna be able to get the bonus. And so you're gonna have to sort of change your deck a little bit. Like, you have to remove some relics, or you have to change some cards so that you can actually do this. So that is going to be the point that I'm gonna be hit. Like, like generally that's sort of like day 1. And if I could play fast enough, like, just kind of go through. If I could get to like level 200 quickly in this stream, then we can at least try it against a medium boss. But ultimately, what I really want to do is I want to sort of build up my my boss levels a little bit so I can go after the ultra kill. Ultra kill is where we're going to be able to build up the we're going to be able to build up pretty quickly, and so it'll be quickly enough that I will be able to use this. Let me see how much this actually deals, right? So if we can get to, so basically 3 billion, all right? So as long as we can get our boss health up to over 3 billion, we'll be able to start using the team effectively. And I think we can do that once I just build up my my queue of overkill bosses a little bit. So just keep bear in mind, bear with me for a little bit as I go through this. But this is sort of my thought process right now. Like, we're at level 100, and typically at about 200 is when it it'll start getting higher. But we're ultimately looking to build a team that we can use to try and get 500% overkill. Which, based on what I've seen, it looks like this actually might do it. Okay, and so now that we've sort of built up a little bit, we got 8. I think what I can do is I can go ahead and take a few overkill bosses. I think I need to take about 10 ultra kills, and I should be able to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it over a little bit. I'm going to use this deck here just to guarantee that I can get the overkill as well. So the thing that I think I'm going to showcase with this particular team. So what I've got is I've got 1 ultra rare card, and I've got I got 2 master collection cards because I got the shiny. And I have the ultimate form. So for the 5th card, actually a really good card to put in there is going to be the Defiant Duet. And the Defiant Duet is going to be available in the Drill Fist Depot coming on Saturday. It's also available in the Proving Ground, so either one of the 2 options are available for you if you wanted to go for it. And the reason why that I would want to go for that is because that card, as I mentioned in yesterday's stream, it gives you a turn delay and it creates more power gems as well. So it actually works really well, especially if you don't have that 5th card. Now, you could also just throw in your main card in there. It also gives a turn delay and you can get some additional bonus as well. So that's also something there, but it's a difference between Power Gen 1 and Power Gen 4. So I think if you want to look for like maximum damage, you want Power Gen 4s rather than Power Gen 1s. And so me, myself, and 1100, I think for you, basically, like, the best option really is to see if you're gonna be able to get the Protectors of the Realm, because if you can get the Protectors of the Realm, that opens you up so that you could actually go ahead and put in other cards in there. Like, you can put in other commander cards that can help you spawn power gems, and that's going to at least give you more damage output. And you can use your main card to do turn delay, and then you can use the support card as a additional gem spawn as well. So, like, it's not going to be ideal, but I think that your best option is to try to create the ultimate form from for Protectors of the Realm. It's a really good backup option. In fact, that is what I did since I at the time when I didn't have this deck, that's what I went for. So all right, so let's keep going here. We got some overkill bosses to take out. We're at level 49. So it's gonna take a little bit. I hadn't had a chance to play as much as I needed to. I was actually busy trying to finalize on some of the groceries. There are things that I realized I needed to get, and we are, as you know, I live in Seattle, right? And so we actually have, um, you know, some of the school districts that have started closing down, and just anticipating that it's going to be a mad rush to the grocery. So took some time, and then so I didn't get a chance to play as much as I wanted to, but now I'm back, and just spending some time here, hoping to sort of explain this a little bit. And what I'll do this time around, like since I won't really get to like the main part of this deck that I wanted to showcase until maybe like a few minutes later, I'll also put in a timestamp here. I'll put in a timestamp so that you can later on, if you come back and watch, you can just kind of skip ahead to see where would actually start talking about the actual mechanic. But from what I can see here, it's actually not too difficult. It actually seems like it's actually pretty easy, especially if you set up right. And so I'm just kind of curious, how's everybody doing? Like, how are you doing this event? How are you enjoying it? Commander events are always kind of like, you kind of play on your own time. And so I'm kind of curious, like, where are you today? Like, are you typically a player that usually plays the first day of the event, or do you sort of like play it later on? I normally sort of do a rush in the beginning. Typically how I play is I sort of like rush the levels in the beginning, and I sort of taper off throughout the week, and then over the weekend is when I pick it back up again. So I generally don't play like as many hours later on, like Friday and Saturday. Like late weekend really is when I would pick it back up again. And so I'm kind of curious like how everyone's doing there. So let's see. Me, myself, 1100. You do have hard one gorillas. So if you want to use that, I would recommend putting in Dojin. So if you have Dojin Ascended, then that would be a good card to put in. So what you want to do is you want to put in Dojin Ascended. You want to put in hard one gorillas. You could probably even put in a Voltreon. So then you have those three cards that can also passively create power gems. Although I would say that if you're going to use hard one gorilla plus Dojin, then you already have enough passive power gem ability, so you can power up your okay, so we're at the point where I can't get 100% overkill. Right, so that's what I was talking about. Couldn't get the 100% overkill, so that's kind of a shame. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this one more time. Oh, that's because I was using the wrong team. So I'm going to do this one more time to even it out. So I have this thing where I don't like seeing it uneven. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the same team so I can get that one tick. And then I'll use the other team later on to get me back up, to get me back there. So we're at level 118 now. We're starting to approach the 1 billion health mark. So that's good. That means that I'm going to be able to get to the point where I can start using the team more effectively. So BBX, you don't think you have any of those new cards. So did you? So I think you could actually get. I guess if you weren't here last season, like 4 weeks ago, then I guess you wouldn't have received the card that was in a reward. Or actually no, I take it back. Just last event, you had a chance to earn the Madame Ragnell, which is the Master Collection card that you can use for this event. If you got that card, then I would say use your Proving Ground store tokens to get the Vanguard, Valiant Vanguard to create the ultimate form, or perhaps if you got that from the trophy, like the 25% chance, then you could also forge that. And so we got a new subscriber. Thank you very much, Lazara Alankar. Thank you for the subscription. All right, so did I? Okay, I didn't actually change the team again. So we're gonna do this one more time. It's kind of a waste of a key here. So what I need to do is I need to go one more time, and then I'm gonna switch over. And so you have none of the Gen 4 cards. So BBX, I think what's important then is to take a look at what you do have in terms of the Earth Commander cards. So the cards that I was talking about, they're not Gen 4. So for example, like the Protectors of the Realm, that is an older Generation 3 card, as well as the Hard One Gorillas. Like they're actually both order. And okay, so let's go ahead and start doing ultra kills. And so if you like, depends on how long you haven't played, because the hard one gorillas, for example, actually has been around for almost a year now. I would say at this point probably a year. Like, it's been about 50 weeks. And so the Reaper, I'm doing the deck review. I just needed to get my deck. I just needed to get my boss health to be a little bit higher so I can sort of show how it really works. But what I will say is that this deck on its own, you can see I had to switch out, right? This deck on its own, if you just use the relics and if you just use the cards by themselves, it's not a good one-turn deck at all. In fact, by level 100-ish is when you're going to start seeing it taper off. As you saw earlier, I wasn't even able to get the full 100% overkill on a regular boss using the full team, right? And so the whole like generation 4 decks now, they suffer from this issue where if you don't have passive gen spawn in your deck itself, then you're going to suffer damage on turn 1, and so you have to bring in another card that does that for you. Otherwise, you're going to face a situation where you're not going to be able to get that overkill like you saw I did. And so let's see. BBX, you had the whole Dracus deck. What's the Dracus deck? Dracon the Dracus deck. Are you talking about Earth? Like, is this an Earth deck that you're referring to? I'm not sure. I am familiar with the name. I'm thinking like Draconian, the Scoundrels, or are you talking about Dracula, like the Devilish Duel? So if you have that card, that deck, that deck actually came like well after the Protectors of the Realm and also the hard one Gorillas. And so again, like, but that might have been during the time that you weren't playing. So like, if you weren't playing during that time, then it's very likely that you might have missed it. There are other cards that, for example, like everything I have in this deck right here, these are all cards that I've collected over the last year or so that can be useful in this particular event because I have the card that the ultimate form card that actually boosts it, right? So that is the thing that I'm using. That's the reason why I'm using this, and that's why I can bring all of these cards in. Like, you need to have something that can give you that boost if you want to get overkill. Like, if you don't have a deck that has any bonuses, then I think what you want to go for then is to not worry about overkill. You might need to use more keys though to actually get the amount of damage you're looking for. All right, so this is actually now 6 billion, right? Okay, so I think I'm going to just barely get enough damage output from this. Not even. Okay, so good. We're at the point where I can now just use my full deck as is. So let's go ahead and go back to my full deck. We're now at 8 billion. And so we're going to go back to this deck. Now we're going to talk about... All right, so timing-wise, we're now 10:30, so about like 10 minutes into this. This is when I got 15 minutes or so. So we're finally at the point where I can actually use this deck the way I want it to. So we're going to use this deck as is. I'm going to show you how this works out. Okay, so we're going to do turn 1. And we're not going to be able to take it out, which is actually intended. And so the way this works is you want to activate the turn delay so that you can actually increase the damage. So the damage boost is going to come from your ultra rare card and your ultimate form. Okay, those are going to be the two that are going to give you the damage boost. You're going to get a revive. Okay, so you get free revive from the deck as well. And we're going to go ahead and activate all of these first, just to sort of show you how it works. So every time I activate, you can see that the two cards they have these boost, right? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a swap now. So you can see the number here, 4 and 4. So the ultimate form and the ultra rare card both have 4 stacks of damage boost, right? So the damage boost is 1200 each stack. And so basically it was 1200 times 8. All right, so 9600 boost was from that attack there, and we're able to deal with 5 billion overkill with that single hit. But as you can see, it wasn't, it's not as big, and you would have wanted to be a little bit big, the damage to be a little bit bigger, and we can do that. And the way that you do this is by taking advantage of the fact that you could actually revive. And when you revive, all of your cards, like your Master Collection cards and your Ultimate form, will actually delay, and it basically will delay for you. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna replay this level, this boss again, and this time I'm just going to let it hit me. Okay, and as it's, another thing that's happening here is as we're getting hit, I'm also building intensity, because I don't need to actually attack to build intensity. All I need to do is I need to activate the turns. And so here we go. We are probably going to lose our health this turn. Okay, so one more hit. Okay, so we basically have one more hit to go, and we're at 136 intensity. We're going to increase by another one. But at this point, we went ahead and you saw what happened here, right? All of our cards provided a turn delay, and so now I've got seven stacks each. I got 14 stacks of damage boost now, and I got a little bit more power gems because I actually have more turns here. And so for the single deck, for a single key, I was able to now deal over 10 trillion damage. Okay, so 10 trillion single key with this. So if you were to let yourself die first and then and then do the damage, you can actually do quite a bit of damage. And then if you imagine this on 3 keys, it's going to be 5 times the amount. Okay, so 5 times the amount, then you're looking at about 50 trillion, and we're gonna look for ways to improve that damage. Okay, and so let's do this one more time. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to improve on this a little bit. And the way that I'm thinking about improving on this a little bit is I'm going to take out this card. And keep in mind, I also didn't power up any of my cards here, right? So one of the options is to level up the cards, get it more powerful. And I'm also going to switch this out. Now this one is going to, this one doesn't actually have, revive anyway. And so what I could do is I could go ahead and change this to, let's bring this back. And we're going to use the Defiant Duet. And since I'm using the Defiant Duet, one thing I'm thinking about is I could either, if I do it this way, then I'm losing a little bit of health, okay? And I'm losing a little bit of health, but I will have same damage across all of my cards. If I do it the other way, then I'm going to lose the damage from the Defiant Duet. So basically I would lose, I would have about like, basically like a fifth of my damage output reduced. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this card in. So if you use the Defiant Duet, let's see how this makes a difference. All right. So intensity wise, intensity doesn't actually change the damage output. It just gives you more power gems. But you're going to get more power gems from the Defiant Duet. I'm going to show you how that works out. Okay. And so what we're going to do is, again, we're going to let ourselves actually die. And it looks like in this particular case, we're going to probably end up, I think at this level, I think we'll be able to take 2 hits. Okay. Oh no, we could just take, we just took 1 hit. Okay, so basically now what you want to do is you want to activate the Defiant Duet first. Because now, every time you activate the turn delay, you're going to get more power gem spawn because of Defiant Duet's ability. And now, so what we've got is we've got Defiant Duet's ability that helped us, create a lot more power gems. You can see we have the same stack here, and you can see now our damage output is significantly increased. Right now, the only thing is this card isn't an arcane killer card, and so we don't actually have, we don't actually get as much damage output from it. All of the damage is coming from our other cards, but now with a single key, we're able to bring it up to 17 trillion for a single key. All right, so 17 times 5 now, we are looking at 85 trillion for a single key, okay? And if we think about the fact that on a 1 key attack on turn 1, you can't actually deal that much damage. So then what we know is we're not going to be worried about doing too much damage on turn 1 against these Overkill and Ultra Kill bosses. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to build this up a little bit. I'm hoping that we can get our Ultra Kill boss level high quickly enough so we can show you how this works, because this, I believe with this setup, you're gonna be able to do 500% overkill easily. Okay, so the difference here is we switched out one of the cards, and typically if you don't have multiple copies of ultra rare card and master collection card, the best thing you can do is to give yourself a Defiant Duet. And Defiant Duet is available in, like I said, it's both available in the Drillfist Depot on Saturday, as well as the Proving Ground store. And BBX, do I think this Warden card will be a GVG Defender? I didn't look closely to see, but it's going to be a it's definitely going to be a Defender card. So all Warden cards now are Defenders, except when they give you Dragoons. So I don't think they gave you a Dragoon this time. I think it's a Water Warden. And so with the Water Warden, yes, it is going to be something you can use. Now, some people have also used one of these cards in the past. So if you take a look in the Codex, I don't actually have it anymore. I got rid of it. But another card that you can use if you're looking for a card is going to be this one right here. The card is Roadkill. So Roadkill actually has a turn delay ability as well. I think it gives you 4 turn delay. Just have to sort of see where it is. So like here you go. Like I actually don't use Earth Warden, so I actually got rid of it. But you can see here, it increases your turn counter by 4. Okay, so like if you're looking for another card, this one also can give you a pretty long turn delay, but it has a 9 turn cooldown, so it's going to be hard to use consistently too. But it's an option. I've seen some people play around with that. All right, and so let's see. We got Ultra Kill now. I'm gonna continue to go with the Overkill bosses for now, if I can. Oh, I guess it's like I can't. So I'm gonna go with this for now then, and I'm going to use the team that we just set up here. So again, if you take a look here, right, we don't expect to kill the boss outright on turn 1, and so that's gonna give us the ability to do our, to get our kill. However, here's the thing, right? We need to get 500% overkill on these lower bosses as well. And if it's, so right now this was on billion. It's like once the boss hits 2 trillion health, then we need to be careful. All right. So the goal here is to actually lose all of our health if we can. Actually, I wouldn't think we need to, because it's just a 10 billion. I think we can actually do this. So again, we're gonna go ahead and activate. The reason why you want to activate Defiant Duet first is because Defiant Duet will only create additional power gems if its battle skill has already been used. So in this particular case, you always activate Defiant Duet first, and then you activate everything else. I guess in this case, like the Ultra Kill boss level is still low enough that I didn't need to wait to actually die. If I needed additional damage, then that's what I would do, right? So without actually dying first, I have 10 trillion damage. Okay, that's how much I can do with this team. But if I actually let myself die first and then revive, I actually deal a lot more damage this way. Okay, so now we need to go back and bring this again. So I can just continue to show you. And now this one is 16 billion. So this is going to be like a deck where it's a 2-turn deck now. What I built here is a 2-turn deck, and so you can go through this relatively quickly. Okay, so Frank Manfield, thank you very much. Like, this is sort of like my goal here is to showcase like my thought process and like, sort of the experimentations I'm doing as I go through this to sort of refine and figure out how to best play the deck. And that's usually when I would then go ahead and actually, make the videos, right? So now for me, I think putting Defiant Duet first in the leader slot as opposed to the other cards is actually going to be a little bit of an advantage for me. And the reason for that is because I don't actually want too much health. I actually want to have my health go to 0 earlier rather than later. And if I can get my health to 0 earlier, that means I revive quicker. And with the revive, that means I'll have my damage output. Because I don't really need the intensity to help me create power gems. Okay, and so swapping the leader so that I actually survive longer is actually not going to be better, because that just means you have to play longer for every boss, right? So this is the case where the quicker you can actually die, the better it's going to be for you. Like for example, like starting, like if I basically at this point onwards, I'm going to be dead within 2 turns, but I don't really need to wait for that. The boss health is low enough right now that I can do this in turn 2. Once it gets higher, then obviously I have to start relying on the revive relic, the revive mechanic. But this is the first time. This is the first time that we've seen in our history of decks here where the revive actually makes you stronger to this extent. Like, we have seen decks that, when you revive, they create power gems and you can do the one last big hurrah. But this is really the first time where revive actually gives you this kind of a benefit. And so yes, and then we're gonna take a look at your deck right now, so we can sort of see what you've got going on. But after this, I'm gonna go back and try out on a high level ultra kill boss. I want to see with 3 keys how much damage I can do. Okay. So the options here with Earth, right? You have, depending on what kind of cards you have, you can either go with a Slayer option using Hard One Gorillas, or you can go with a Commander option going with the Protectors of the Realm. Now, if you have the full event deck, then you should just use that. But if you don't, then I would recommend going with the Protector of the Realm route. Okay, and so here I see you have Protector of the Realm, which is good. You have scale plated slasher, which is actually not going to be as useful. Like, the only card that's going to be useful here is going to be the Hard One Gorillas. And so if you don't have it, then what I would recommend is to go with with the commander option. And so for you right now, it looks like this is what you've got. And so looks like from the last event you collected a lot of the Dame Regnell cards, and that is actually going to be really good for you. And so what I would recommend you do is you should put in the Protectors of the Realm and the Valiant Vanguard. Those two for sure you should put in. I wouldn't worry about Devoted Ferryman, because that's not a very good card to use. Willa is a card that gives you, it gives you 4, and then every time you attack, it gives you intel. So then, like, it gives you a little bit more each time. But then, like, you basically want to count this as a 4 power gem 3 spawner with 3 turn cooldown. I would actually say your best bet is going to be, so you have Coco Pally, Fate Denier, but you don't have Sky Swarm Kachina. So Sky Swarm's Kachina is going to be available in the shop on Saturday. So you could potentially use that, but you don't have the full deck this time. You don't have the deck here, so you're not really going to benefit from that. So I would say it's a good card to use, but you already have Protector of the Realm, so that might actually be better. So if you take a look, right, so Dame Bracknell will create 4 Power Gem 4s. And so this card, though, has 6 turn cooldown, so you really are sort of relying on this one shot. And so I would just say go with Protectors of the Realm, and you have 4 other Dame Regnells. Like, I would go with 3 of them, actually. I would go 3 Regnells and 1 Valiant Vanguard. The reason I would say go with Valiant Vanguard is because it has a 13 times commander boost. And so that's going to give you more more damage output. And this is 3 power gem 2s and 4 stacks of grail. I think I would try a mix of either Protector of the Realm 4 Dame Regnell, or Protector of the Realm 3 Regnells and 1 Valiant Vanguard. Those would be the 2 teams that I would try out. So you can check it out and see how you do with the damage. Okay, and right now I would say that if you have the no, you don't have the ultra rare card or the master collection card for this event. So what I did was I managed to get 1 of the 2, and I used my coins to craft the other ones to get the team. Since you don't have either of those, then I would say you can hold off. But this would be my recommendation for the team that you can try out. Okay, it doesn't. It looks like you're just building up on your Earth teams as well. So I think that is going to be your best option. Okay. So let's see. So the Reaper, what card am I gonna get now for the TPG store? So given that I have now, so because I was able to get my Valiant Vanguard from the collection. I'm actually going to. The only thing I'm missing now is the Master Collection card for the Fire Commander event from the previous event. The one that gives you that polarity, right? That's the one I'm missing. So that's what. Shoot, I think this is the one where I did incorrectly. Yeah, I used the wrong team because my Overkill boss is at the threshold where I couldn't actually deal as much damage, and so that was a mistake on my part. That was a little bit of a mistake. So now what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to go back and do this again. All right, so let's just keep going because I want to try and get my Overkill boss to a high enough level. And so money from South Africa, you're unlucky with the draws. You managed to get a support and event card, and we could take a look at that. So Baron Armageddon Taurus. So this is where if you have the event card and the support card, the best option is to rely on other commander cards, and or if you have the Slayer card, then you can use the support card as a leader, and then you can actually use the Slayer version as well. So I'll take a look at your card. I'll take a look at your cards in just a minute. So Jabir, could I help make an OP deck? Well, depends on the cards that you have. So if you have no gems for the Drill Fist Depot, what we can do is we can try and give you an option. I'm not sure if I'll be able to give you an OP deck here, but let's just go ahead. I'm just gonna give me a minute. I'm going to try to raise my. I want to try and raise my ultra kill boss level a little bit, and then see where we're at, and then I will go and help out both. Sorry, it's not Money, it's Morny. I'm gonna help out Morny and then Jabir as well afterwards. Okay, so just give me a minute here. So this is day 1 of the event, and so obviously, you know, depending on the sort of like the progress you like, you know, how fast you can go. If you can get your boss to level 300 early on, then you're gonna be smooth sailing really, where you're gonna be able to cash in on enough points, I think, to relax a little bit, and that's usually what I try to do. I try to get enough points so I can sort of rest a little bit and then not worry too much over the weekend. Okay, so let's see. We need to get one more Overkill boss, and this one is going to be a little bit of a pain, but I think it's now at 1.7, so I think I should be fine with this. Even if I'm not, then I think that just kind of even out the boss anyway. And so this is this is the kind of mechanic where I think it's actually kind of interesting, right? Because what this really does is they've addressed the issue where usually when you need to go with a 3-key attack, usually the problem is you're too worried about too much damage, accidental damage. Okay, you're worried about accidentally killing the boss before you're ready, and even when you are at the point where you time everything correctly, you can't really get enough of a boost. This is the first time where you're able to double the amount of boost that you get from your cards. And so this is 80 billion. Yeah. So this is a I think this deck, like the ultimate form, actually will have a good it's useful. It's useful in the future where any other commander events that you have, like you are given a revive. So you have a revive here and you have a free turn delay. Okay, and on the free turn delay you also get some damage boost, even though the damage boost may not always be up. Oh shoot. So here's the thing, right? So if you activate Defiant Duet later, then you don't get that benefit. And so always remember to activate first, because like his skill will tell you, like, while his battle skill is active, then whenever a turn delay skill is used, creates creates 2 additional power gems. So you want to make sure you activate that first. Okay, so I think we're doing okay here. I'm gonna take a look at so we're gonna take a look at Morny's cards here, and it's gonna be Morny, Baron, Armageddon, Taurus. Okay, so let's go and take a look at that. Yeah, it's actually been a little bit of a, it's been a few weeks, I guess actually longer, since I've done this exercise where I go and really sort of help people with their decks here. So I'm glad I'm glad to be able to help here. But generally, like this this particular video here, I think I've established like how to actually play the deck and sort of like my thought process as I was building the deck here. But this is really good. Like I'm hoping I could show this at level 300 and sort of show, hey, look, you know, like with 5 keys, basically 3 keys here, or 9 keys, I should say, I'm able to actually do really well and get the 500% overkill. Okay, so I see we have the United Taurus, we got Quick and Dirty, and we have Unbreakable Sisterhood. You also have the Hard One Gorilla, which is good. Blossoming Alliance is not my favorite, so I don't generally go with that. And you got the Defiant Duet at 2 stars, that's good. And it looks like no event deck, right? No event deck, and we have Damebrek now, we have Alcano, so you have the event card, and I think you have the event card and the support card, if I'm correct, right? Okay. So you do have some options, right? It's just that when I played with these cards, it wasn't dealing as damage as I would have liked, but it works. Okay. And so the thing that you could do here is you've got Hard One Gorilla. And so what you can do is you can pair Hard One Gorillas with United Taurus. That's going to give you a lot of power gems to start with. And I don't actually see Protectors of the Realm, right? I don't see Protectors of the Realm. Because if you have Protectors of the Realm, then I would say, you know, use that. But since you don't have it, then I think that because you don't have it, you're not really going to be able to get much out of your commander cards anyway. So the best thing that you could do is, do you have Doujin Ascendant? You have Doujin Ascendant. So I think one thing you can do, okay, so I've seen enough of your deck. I think I can build something. I can build something to show you. So this is actually what I have, right? So if you take a look at my cards, what I've built is, I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to build here. So originally, one of the decks I built looks like this. And it's going to be mostly Slayer, okay? And I'm going to use Doujin. Okay, and what I saw here is I saw that you have Hard One Gorillas, so that's good. You have United Taurus, that's also good. Now, I probably would have, you know, simply put in this here, but you don't have that, and so this is where I would say you could also consider them putting in some commander cards. And the commander cards that I saw you had were Quick and Dirty and the Defiant Duet. So now what you can do is you can sort of decide, all right, do you want to go with mostly commander or mostly Slayer? And we could probably go with a Slayer, because I think you want to boost your, you want to actually boost your you want to try and boost your Hard One Gorilla. And so the first thing we can do is look for an Arcane Killer, or I don't think we have an Earth Arcane Killer yet. This is just Commander. So we're going to go ahead and use Slayer. So we're going to go with Earth Slayer Relics. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put all of my Earth Slayer Relics in here. And we're going to do this. Okay, I don't have Spirit, but it's fine. So now what we can do here is I'm going to try this out. We're going to sort of showcase how this works, and to make sure that I don't actually waste too many keys, I'm going to try this on a guild boss. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use the team that I just built. So these are the cards that you have. So these are the cards that you've got, and I'm going to try this out. And we're going to sort of see how this works out. And Mr. Hawklands, welcome here. Sorry, I saw it, but I never really, I didn't actually to say hi. All right, so let's see how much damage we can do with this. With this here. So here the idea is we are using the commander cards to give us a bit of that damage boost here. And what we're gonna activate is we're gonna go ahead and activate from left to right in this case, because we want to activate United Taurus last. And this is going to give us the ability to basically spawn enough power gems to fill out the whole board. Now what I'm curious about is how much damage we can actually deal with a single key in this case. Okay, and so we can deal about couple 130 billion with that, with a single key. So you can see it's nowhere near as much as we could deal with a full deck, but that's to be expected. This is a sort of a combination of using Slayer cards and Commander cards, but they are all boosted. And it's just that you're not getting the boost across your Commander cards, but you don't have any cards that boost your Commander cards anyway. And so that's why that is sort of one option I thought you could go with. So with that particular setup, you might be able to get somewhere to a point like that is 130 billion, so you could still easily get all your overkill for your regular bosses. It's just that for overkill and ultra kill bosses, it's going to be hard to go beyond just killing it outright, and that is the challenge that you're going to have with this. But because you're using hard-won gorilla, at some point I think you're going to be able to maybe get some overkill with the nuke damage when you can actually do 5 times the nuke. Okay, and so give that a try and let me know how it works out. Now we're gonna do one more, and then we're gonna jump back into my deck here, and that is going to be Jabir. So JB Jabir N202. So the request here is to build a deck, but I don't know if I'll be able to build an OP deck. But I see you have the jailers here. So if you already have the full deck, then I guess the question you have is how can you improve on your damage? Well, you have the jailers, right? You have the Master Collection card. You have the Ultra Rare card. So those are the 3 that you have. I guess you don't have the shiny. And you have Kokopelli and okay. So what I would recommend here is exactly the setup you have. You have Protectors of the Realm, and you have Dame Regnell. These are all arcane killers, and so what you want to do is you could apply exactly the same thing that I just did, where if you're not dealing enough damage on the first try, just let yourself die. And then when you revive, then activate all of your cards. Like there's no trick to this. This is really just activate everything all at once, and you'll be able to deal more damage that way. Okay. Yeah, so Morning, no problem. All right, so let's go back now and let's see what we can do with our overkill and ultra kill bosses. Okay, so we're using the right one. I really need to label it differently, and so. In this case too, right? Like, which is better? Is the Defiant Duet better, or is the Protectors of the Realm better? And I think to answer that question heavily depends on what cards you have. So like I said, if you don't have the current event deck, then the Protectors of the Realm is going to be the best option for you to use, because that is the card that will allow you to bring in other commander cards. You get 400% damage boost, and you have good power gem generation abilities, so that you can actually do some, you can actually get somewhere with an event. If you have the current event deck, then Defiant Duet is actually going to give you that extra boost, because the thing that you're going to be lacking ultimately is going to be your power gem creation ability. Okay, and so don't underestimate the passive ability of Defiant Duet, because if you have, as you saw, basically I'm generating 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm generating 8 additional power gem 4s just with this passive ability. Okay, and that is huge. That's actually more than if I were to put in another Master Collection card in there. Okay, so in this particular case, I would say go ahead and get yourself a Defiant Duet if you want to do a lot more damage than you are seeing. Oh, I missed one card there, but I think I should be fine, right? If you don't use it, it's still fine. But from what we saw, is that even coming with a full revive, with just a single, with a single ultra rare card and two master collection cards, it's not really as high as you would think it would be. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple more here, so that we can queue up enough of the overkill bosses, so we can do a couple of ultra kill. Yeah, no problem. So like, it's interesting. Like typically, there's like a lot more people that'll come in on the preview days, and during the preview days is when I generally don't get a chance to actually get the deck and try it out and showcase it. But now that I actually have it, I was kind of hoping that I could be helpful and see if anybody needed help here. But I hope that what I'll do is I'm actually going to, just like I said, I'm going to have a timestamp for when I actually start doing this, and then you can sort of see how it works out. And Reaper, so like, what about you, Reaper? Like, what are you thinking? Like, how are you doing in this event? What cards are you using? And what are your thoughts overall? Like, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this particular event? What do you think about the deck itself? Like, is this interesting? Like, is this something that excites you? Is this something that you feel doesn't really impact you? Or like, I'm curious what your thoughts are. Like, I've given my feedback a lot about these decks, and I've always sort of felt that personally I like it when they bring something interesting, but what I don't like is when they make it really difficult to obtain. And so for me, I think that it being involved is good, although the VIP bonus of like getting your ultra rare card at tier 7 seems to be out of reach for many people anyway, so I'm not sure how much that actually counts. I actually kind of felt like the best thing they could have done is to go back to increasing the number of cards that they can draw per tier, and then maybe bring that guarantee a little bit lower. I would say guarantee master collection card by tier 5. That sounds pretty good, right? So that's something that I would have liked to see more. But in general, I think that it was just unlucky for me. I couldn't pull one of the two cards this time around, but if I had, I would have been very happy to use my coins to craft the ultimate form. I actually think that within this particular season, this ultimate form is one of the more useful ones compared to ones we've seen. And so I would say, without seeing the other two that are coming in the next two events, this one so far for me is worth spending coins on. That will be my take on it, especially since this is going to be useful for future events. And so let's see. So Reaper, you've just started the event. You're not sure what to use yet. And Mount Fillmore, it's a cursed deck. Tom Hanks. Oh man, yeah. I just heard that news too. Tom Hanks tested positive for it, and you're saying that after they used the face on the car. Well, I hope Ian McKellen is such a great actor. I really enjoy seeing his movies. Like, he does such a great job of all the character he portrays. Tom Hanks too. Like, those two are just phenomenal actors. But yeah, man, speaking of coronavirus, it is definitely something that is, I'm seeing the impact of that all over the place. So like as I was mentioning earlier in the stream, multiple school districts now in my area has already announced that they were going to close down for 2 weeks, and so my kids not going to be going to school for 2 weeks, and it's going to be hard for many people actually. Just like all the changes that we have to make. And yeah, so Reaper MX, I will take a look at your deck just in a little bit. So I guess I'm probably not going to be able to get to level 300 here, right? Like, I'm at 161. I think probably like, maybe another like 20-30 minutes of playing might get me there, but I'm not sure I'm going to stay on the stream for that long. Instead, I think what I'm going to do is, I think I've showcased this enough. Although what I will do is I'm going to use 3 keys on my next ultra kill attack so that I can see how much damage I'm gonna deal. And I'm getting to the point, I think it's almost like once it hits 2 trillion health, I need to use 3 keys and 9 keys anyway. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go and bring up the next ultra kill boss. I'm going to use 9 keys to show you how much damage this can actually deal. And then I'm going to help out the Reaper. Hey, Zuzu MacDuck, how are you doing? You finally got another live stream here. Like I usually see you, I don't see you as often, but it's always nice to see you here. Melfin, parenting stream. Yeah, I don't know. See, like parenting is one of those things where different people have different opinions, and I definitely expect it to be a very controversial one, regardless of what I do. And so I'm just gonna stay away from that. Kess, would I recommend putting an off affinity turn delay with a 3-turn cooldown in a deck, or would the damage decrease not be worth it? So generally with the off affinity, the thing with off affinity is that you are immediately losing 1/5 of your damage output. But if you just put in one, if it's just like one card, then I think it's okay, because like putting in one card is almost the same as putting in like another card that's of the same affinity, just doesn't get a doesn't get any killer bonus boost to it. So I think that's okay. So if you have an off affinity turn delay card that you want to use, that would be okay, right? If it's got a 3-turn cooldown in the deck, if you just want to be able to use it quickly, that would be okay. I would give it a try. I wouldn't say you shouldn't. I would say, don't do more than one. I would say probably one is the max I would say you should use. Anytime you go more than one off affinity, the game itself, like Legendary Game of Heroes as a game, they didn't design for this. They didn't design for this system to be optimal with an rainbow type deck. They tried, but it just hasn't worked, right? Because the damage output is determined by the number of gems on the board and the number of power gems you have. Okay, and so when you have 2 different colors on the board, it actually reduces your damage overall. Like the let's say you have like green and light, like earth and light, right? And let's say you get a perfect mix of like half and half of green earth gems and light gems. It will not be the same. Like the amount of damage that you get from both of those added together isn't going to be the same as just a single full deck of 35 gems of either color with power gems. That's just unfortunately the way it works out. Like they don't actually make it so that your damage is combined. If it was like that, where by having different affinities, damage all add up to be the same as if it was a single affinity, then I would say yeah, go for it, because then it wouldn't really matter. It now killer bonus actually trumps everything, right? So you can actually use the right killer bonus, so you can just add in other cards with different affinities, and you're going to get a damage. The thing that you're still going to lose out on is the affinity bonus, so that is still going to be the problem, but it's just that you're losing on multiple fronts there, and so that's going to be a big sacrifice. And so if your goal is to get like overkill, then that might be too much. Eric Taylor, not often you catch a live stream. Yeah, I don't usually see you. I do see you commenting in the video, so appreciate that. And glad to see you here. And so glad that you're able to make it this time. And hopefully things are going, doing okay there in Germany. So like, as you know, just today, there was an announcement that US travel to Europe has been banned for 30 days. So we actually knew somebody who had already a travel plan to, I think, to Portugal, and the flight was supposed to be for tomorrow. So unfortunately I had to do a last minute cancellation because they could go. Like it's actually not a ban to fly out of the US, but the problem is they won't be able to come back. So yeah, so it's unfortunate. Germany was going to be, we had hopes to go traveling, and Germany was going to be the country that I was going to visit next. So Italy was actually the country I visited a couple 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and we stopped by, we stopped through Germany. Actually, we went through Frankfurt airport, and I was telling my wife at the time, it's like, oh, it'll be really cool if we can actually go to Germany. And at the time, I had a couple of guildmates who were from Germany as well, and we had planned to get together and everything. It was going to be pretty epic. Like I really wanted to visit there, so I guess I'm gonna have to wait until things clear out. Being stuck in Portugal for 30 days doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, I actually wouldn't think so. My sister was there a couple of times, and she just told me that it's actually really good for families. Actually, it's actually a really good destination for families too. So that's what I thought. Anyways, we're about to get our next ultra kill boss now. So what I wanted to show here is with a single key, not single key, with a single pink star team, and with 9 keys, I believe we're going to be able to get 500% overkill. And I'm going to show that with 9 keys as soon as I finish this one up. This is actually a relatively big deal, because up until this point, like a lot of the newer Generation 4-ish type card, they have not been able to deal enough damage to take out an ultra kill boss with 500% overkill, which I actually didn't think was a bad thing, right? It wasn't too bad, because that meant that people who did invest in getting more pink stars in their decks would have a ability to do that, while people with like the basic 1-star ultimate form could maybe get 200%, although 300% is pushing it, right? And so that's where the difference got to. And now we have this deck again, where if you have it, you can actually get 500%. So let's take a look now and see how this works, right? So we got, this is 534 billion health, and I think even with 3 keys, I'm not gonna be able to take it out. Now the problem here is, in order to get the full, I think in order to get the full 500% overkill at level 300, I need to actually revive. So I want to see how much damage I can get. I want to see how much damage it will deal to me. So this is going to take a lot of turns, right? But what we're going to do is we can just kind of chill here. We'll just keep getting hit. We're not gonna be healing anyway, so there's no healing in this deck. So this is really just a deck where you just keep getting hit. And the reason why I'm doing this, like, I don't have to. At this level right now, 193, I don't actually have to do this. But what I wanted to show is how much damage I can deal when I come back with the revive. Okay, and so just gotta make sure that I don't actually run out of time. So I can't dilly-dally too much here. We got 5. Like, here's the thing, right? I can't actually see the board very well either. Like the lighting here kind of prevents it. But here you go. We're actually going to lose our health here. We revived. Now we're gonna go ahead and activate everything in the same order. So you can see here we have 1 health remaining, and we're activating everything. Okay, and we also increased our intensity at the time, so we actually did create more power gems anyway. And so now with this, the goal here is to hit over 60 trillion. And I want to see if I got there. So we got 81 trillion. Okay. And so with this, 81 trillion, that is more than enough for us to get the 500% overkill. And we had 0 risk of doing too much damage. As you can see, all I'm doing is like do turn 1 and then just get hit until I lose all my health, and then activate everything after reviving. This is the way to play your deck if you are going to go for the overkill. Okay, revive is going to give you double the amount of damage boost, and that is what you need to get the overkill. And so my expectation is people with the decks are going to be using this strategy, and we're going to be getting pretty high scores this particular event. And so I don't expect this placement to remain where it's at. I think that, especially since I'm going to be taking it easy over the next while, I play casually here, but I expect the damage output to be pretty high if you have the deck here. If you don't have the deck, some of the things, like I said, I recommended. One is using your gorilla, mix it with United Taurs. you could also choose not to use any of the other commander cards, and you can just go with these two. Another one that you could go with is actually going to be the previous Earth Slayer deck. So I actually also like this, right? And in this case, you just want to switch outs to do this, right? And so with this particular setup here, you're using your Hard-Won Gorillas to boost all of your Slayer cards. And in this case, it's all Slayer. And I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to take out this Shroud Boss just because. And we're going to use this deck that I just built. Okay, so 7 billion. I want to see if I can actually do this. So we're going to see if we can actually manage to get ourselves 7 billion with this deck. This is really the best test to see if it actually works. Like the only commander card we have in here is Dojin. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of decrease in our overall damage output. But the thing is, we do have a lot of power gem spawning abilities, and we have some nuking. And actually, this was enough to take it out anyway. And so, like, just turn 1 damage is fine. But this is going to give me a bunch of power gems, and you know, this would be an option as well. So that's something you can do also. So if you have like, so to summarize everything, okay? If you have the event deck, go with the Defiant Duet. If you don't have the event deck, then go with the Protectors of the Realm. If you don't have either of those two, but you have the Hard-Won Gorilla, pair that card up with Dojin, and if you have United Taurus, put that card in, and then just mix in any other good Earth Slayer or Earth Commander, as long as it gives you a lot of power gems. I recommend putting in at least another Commander card so that you can get some benefit from there. For example, like, you know, one of the 2 cards that gives you 13 bonus from the collection is good, or anything else, as long as it gives you some good power gem spawning abilities. So that's going to be the best option. Okay, so you've got the 3 MC, Ultra Rare card, and Ultimate Form, plus 5 Relic. Would it be better to take out an MC putting either Unquiet One's Protector of the Realm? If you already have 3 MC, Ultra Rare card, and Ultimate Form, I think that you might... Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be better for you to do that. I think you're going to be better to keep it as is with the 3MC Ultra Rare card and Ultimate Form. Just play the same way that I did it. I didn't do this because I don't have my 3rd MC. But I would say if you have the 3rd MC, keep it in there. The only time I would recommend taking it out would be to put in the Defiant Duet. I wouldn't put in the Protector of the Realm. I don't think it's going to be you're sacrificing damage actually in that case. So I would say keep the Master Collection card in, and well, I guess like you can try it because the Protector of the Realm will get boosted, but give it a try. I would say stick with the original team here, and then if you bring the Protector of the Realm, you find that you get better damage output from that, then you can give that a try. But I wouldn't put in Taurus because you're just going to I think you're just going to lose your damage overall, because United Taurus is a noble killer, so you're not going to be able to get that benefit. Okay. And so that's going to be it for me. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'm going to put in a timestamp here because the beginning of the stream was kind of non-helpful, just because I wasn't able to go against a big boss. But I'll have a timestamp for when I finally started going against the bigger boss, and also for like the very last boss where I was able to get the 500% overkill. Okay, so thanks a lot for joining me, everybody. Hope this has been useful and helpful for you. Again, like I said, let me know what you think. Give me comments below, and let me know what you'd like to see more. And I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Have a good event. See ya.